Hi, my name is Takashi Sato, the president of Sanjay. Thank you for coming to my presentation, and it's an honor to have an opportunity like this to talk about shoyu and koji. So, this is the topic I prepared for today. What is koji? Is Sanjay, and one of the typical products of koji is the shoyu, and also I'm going to talk about shoyu in the United States. So, let me start with what is koji. I didn't know how much you know about koji, so I kind of started this section to share the basic knowledge about koji. But Marika told me that you started making the koji here, so you might know, you might have enough information about koji already. But let me start with the very beginning part of the koji. Why is koji? Where does koji exist? What does koji do? Koji is I think that you know that it's the name of the mold, and that is the key ingredient used for the Japanese fermented food. And picture of the koji is like this. That is the koji mold. That is the koji mold blown on the surface of the light. And I think that you have the koji in front of you in a small package. One is the salt and the other is the koji. And you can look at the inside and you can even eat it. Some of them, it doesn't hurt your stomach, but it is a little different from the one on the picture because that is the dried koji. So it's not that puffy like on the picture. But I think you can tell that it is a little different from the ordinary light. It's because the koji mold is being grown on the surface of the light. And if you look at the closely, that is the lacerated koji mold, and it looks like a flower. That is why it looks puffy on the surface. And this is the academic terminology of the koji as well as its origin. Yeah. And where does this begin? Actually, it is only in Japan. I don't know why, but that is why the fermentation in Japan is a little bit unique compared to the other fermented food in other countries. And what does koji do? The only and main purpose or main function we expect koji to do is to produce enzymes. Produce enzymes. And I like to talk about that function by comparing some of the food which you might be familiar with. For example, wine. As all of you know that wine is made from the grape, and the first process you have to do to make the wine is to crush it, just like on the picture. You can tell that the guys are crushing the grape by foot, yeah. And you can tell that at the bottom of the picture, the juice is coming out from the grape, right? That is another word, is the sugar. And that sugar is being fermented by the help of the yeast, and which comes to the wine. This is the basic process of making wine. I think you know that. And if you compare to the other alcohol beverage in Japan by using the koji mold, which is a sake. So I like to compare between sake and wine in that process. Sake needs to be fermented in the same way by yeast, which requires sugar as well. So this part is the same between the sake and wine. But you know that sake is made from rice originally. So that sugar can come from the rice directly? No, because the sugar exists in the rice in the form of the starch, which is very hard. So this is a picture of rice. So even if you crush the rice as you do on rice, only thing you can get is just a crushed rice. So you have to get sugar out of it somehow. That is the process we call saccharification. And in order to have the saccharification, you need enzyme which is derived from the koji. So between the wine and the sake, the fermentation process is exactly same, but the method to get sugar out of the ingredient is different between the wine and the sake. In the sake, which is they are using their which is the koji product, we need to have the saccharification or breaking down or decomposition. So this is the difference between the wine and the sake. Oh yeah, tasting. You have some the tasting cup in front of you, and the white one is the amazake. That is a sugar decomposed by the koji. So you can taste it. You can tell that the sugar, the rice becomes so sweet. It's because the koji decomposed their starch into the sugar. Actually, that is the amazake I made last night. It was the I left in the how do I say, the hot cooker for 6 hours, putting the rice and the koji together. So you can tell that the starch can become that sweet after koji. In other words, the koji is enzyme breaking down into the sugar. Oh, yeah. As a side note, before we found koji, we utilized the enzyme from the different source. Before we found the koji, we utilized the enzyme from the different source. That is saliva from your mouth. I think you know that saliva has a lot of enzyme in it. So that before we found koji, we utilized the saliva to break down the sugar. I can show you some the animated film which describe this process. That is how we made sake before we found koji. I'm not sure you wanted to drink it or not. But I think you can tell that it is not realistic to chew enough rice to cover the mass production of sake. So after we found koji, we stopped using saliva to make the alcohol beverage like sake. But as they described it on the film, this method remains only for some special occasion like religious ceremony, like on the picture, and in the limited area. But now, yes, we do not use saliva, and we are using the koji for making the sake, like to utilize its enzyme. But this enzyme can be working on not only rice but also other ingredients. For example, soy. And soy contains a lot of protein in it. And if you decompose the protein by enzyme, you can get a lot of the amino acid. In other words, umami. And that umami juice or umami sauce can be called shoyu. So you can tell that sake and shoyu are totally different. One is alcohol beverage, the other one is just condiment. But these two fermented products are related in one component, which is the koji. So that's why the Japanese fermented food, all of them are related by one ingredient, which is koji. So that's why I started talking about the sake as an introduction. So I like to talk about the shoyu, but before that, I like to talk about myself or my company, Sanjay. We were founded in Japan, 1804, and we came to the United States 1978, like 45 years ago. And it was not me who brought the business to this country. It was my father who brought the business to here. So I like to explain a little bit about why did my father bring the business to the United States. Actually, my father was the second son in this family. So he had to find his own living, which was kind of typical in old days in Japan, especially countryside. Only first son take over the business, and the second and third son had to find their own living. So after he graduated college, he joined a totally different company after he graduated the university, which was a Toyota. So he started a totally different career after he graduated college. He was a salesperson of the Toyota car, and he was assigned to the international sales department, and he was in charge of the United States. So he came to the United States often to sell the Toyota car. And in the United States, my father took his customer to dinner to entertain them, just like we do now. And my father always went to the one place, Benihana. Do you know Benihana? Yeah, you like it? I like it. And the reason why my father always went to Benihana to entertain his customer is because, do you know this guy? It's Loki Aoki. He's the owner and founder of Benihana, and he's also known as a father of the Devon Aoki or Steve Aoki. Yeah? And this is my father. And the reason why my father always went to the Mr. Loki Aoki's restaurant, which is Benihana, was because my father and Loki Aoki was a classmate at high school. Yeah. I think it makes sense that if your friends from high school open the restaurant, I think you're going to go there. So that's why my father always went to his friend's restaurant, which is Benihana. And this is Benihana. I think you have been there a couple of times. And they're going to grill beef or lobster or vegetable in front of you. And typically, they season with the soy sauce. And it was 1970s. So shoyu was not that popular like it is now. And my father found that, or he was impressed that not a few American people like the beef or lobster seasoned with the soy sauce. So after he saw that, he decided that, okay, the selling the Toyota car is a good job, but the selling the soy sauce to the American people in the United States might be more exciting. So he quit the Toyota and he opened up the sales office in the United States. So that's how we started the business in this country. And after that, we built the factory in Richmond, Virginia, 1 hour from this city. So that's how we are doing the business in this country. And when we started our business in this country, we started using the same company name, which we still use in Japan, Sanjirushi. But soon after we started using this name, we found that Sanjirushi might be a little bit difficult for American people to pronounce, like especially the juicy part. So we just cut it, Sanjay. And we did the same thing on the logo too. This is the logo we still use in Japan. But it might be too square. It doesn't look friendly to you. So we just cut the edge of the logo, like cut. And now it might look the national flag of Japan. So we put this logo in the center of the label, and now it comes to my product. Have you seen this product? No. Do you have this product in your kitchen? Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. So, but yes, we started selling the product in the United States, but we had another issue. We had to come up with a good concept. Because at that time, the Kikkoman was already giant in the United States. So we had to differentiate ourselves from Kikkoman. And at that time, it was 1970 again. My father met certain kind of people in this country. And that people the appearance of those people are kind of distinctive. They're very unique. I can show you some pictures. Yeah? Or different pictures like this. Yes, they're hippie people. It was 1970s, so hippie people were still active in this country. And my father met those kind of people here, and I don't know why, but my father, he was impressed or he kind of liked them, so he decided to make a soy sauce for hippie. That came to a organic or no preservative or no chemicals. These characters are popular nowadays, but it was not at all at the time, like the 1970s. So we're kind of lucky to meet the hippie people because that's how we found this concept. But in that times, the hippie was contributing to establishing the organic food market in this country. I can show you some example, like Whole Foods. You know the Whole Foods market. Their headquarters is located in Austin, Texas, which is known as a hippie town. Or second biggest organic food chain, Wild Oats. They are located in Boulder, Colorado. That is another hippie town in this country. Or you might have been to Washington, D.C. to visit Smithsonian Museum. Have you ever been there? They have they have many kind of the museum, and one of them is American history, which is very interesting. So I encourage you to be there. But one of the sections they have in the museum is the food section. You can see that transforming the American table. They describe like since 1950, new technology and cultural changes have transformed what and how we eat. And one of the section they have in the area is counterculture. In other words, hippie culture. So they even exhibit the picture of the Woodstock, one of the most famous hippie event in the history. So yes, the even in the academic side, that is admitted that the hippie contributed to the establishing the organic food market in the United States. But yes, back to the topic that yes, after my father met the hippie people, he started using the tamari soy sauce for them. But what is tamari? Before getting into the tamari topic, let me start with the little bit origin word. What is the origin of shoyu? What is the origin of shoyu? I think you know that, which is miso. Yeah, miso was the originally brought from China to Japan, and it was began to be made in temple. So actually, it was monk who started making miso in Japan. Yeah, but one time, a monk at the temple made a mistake. He made a mistake. What he did was they added too much brine in the tank in the beginning of the fermentation. So at the end of the fermentation, when they saw what was in the tank, it looked like on this picture. Yeah, you can see liquid accumulated on the surface of the miso, but different pictures. Yeah, so they found a liquid accumulated on the surface of the miso, which was not good because what they wanted was the miso paste, not miso liquid. So, in a sense, the monk was in trouble. So they had a meeting. What they're gonna do? The one guy got a good idea because if you find a liquid on the surface of miso, why don't you sell the liquid? This is how the soy sauce industry started in Japan. In other words, shoyu started as a byproduct of miso. Yeah, but still, they had another issue. What is the best product name of this liquid? Because if we wanted to sell the liquid, byproduct is not the fancy name to sell. So they had to come up with a good name to sell that liquid. And after certain discussion, they came up one idea that why don't you name it as accumulated? Because that is the liquid accumulated on the surface of miso. And if you translate accumulated into Japanese, that means tamari in Japanese. So yes, miso is the origin of the soy sauce, but tamari is a kind of prototype or first version of the soy sauce in Japan. Let me show you the picture, the map of Japan. The red circle indicates the location of the temple where miso began to be made, and tamari is being produced nearby, which makes sense, I guess. And after that, tamari was spread all over Japan and improved differently into different type of soy sauce. Like here, the Iskuchi, Saishikomi, Oshiro, and Koikuchi type soy sauce. Now we have many kind of soy sauce in that small island. And I would like to talk about the difference between those types of shoyu. In Japan, we have 5 kind of shoyu: koikuchi, usukuchi, tamari, shiro, and sashikomi. And I know that we don't have enough time to talk about difference of each 5 times. So I like to pick the major one. The most popular type of the shoyu is called koikuchi. I'm not sure that you have ever heard of the name of the koikuchi, but I think you have seen the product like this. Are you okay? Yeah. Kikkoman is making their koikuchi type soy sauce. And the second major type of shoyu in the United States is tamari, which, as you know, that is the type of the shoyu we are making. So let me compare these 2 type of shoyu to tell the difference. Let me start with the Kikkoman. The main difference is ingredient. The koikuchi type shoyu, in other words, the Kikkoman type shoyu, is made from 50% soy, 50% wheat. Of course, each ingredient has a meaning to be added. The wheat is the source of aroma, and soy could be the source of umami. And why soy can be source of umami? Let me show you the component of the soy. Soy contains a lot of the protein in it, up to the 40%. And protein is broken down into amino acid. And that amino acid we recognize as a umami. So the more protein you get, the more umami you can enjoy. On the other hand, how much protein wheat contains compared to the 40% of soy? Wheat contains only 10% of protein in it. So I think it makes sense that more soy, more umami in the liquid. And back to the chart, when koikuchi is made 50-50, how much soy is used for tamari soy sauce, which is 100%. So I think it is easy calculation that tamari contains more umami compared to the koikuchi type shoyu. So if you measure the umami level of the umami level of each type of shoyu, koikuchi contains 1.6 grams per 100 milliliters. On the other hand, tamari contains 2.2. So almost 30% more umami tamari contains. But what I want to emphasize here is that I'm not saying that the more umami, the better. That is not what I'm saying. I want to tell that each shoyu has each uniqueness. Tamari's uniqueness is high umami. But back to this chart, koikuchi type shoyu contains a lot of wheat, which is a source of aroma. So if you wanted to enjoy the aroma of soy sauce, I suggest you to pick the koikuchi type shoyu. So each type of shoyu has each character. So I want you to enjoy each character of each type of shoyu. So whenever someone asks me for, hey Takashi, what kind of shoyu I should buy, and then I always recommend that why don't you buy 2 or 3 type of shoyu and pick the best one depending on what you eat or what you cook. That's what I always recommend. So let me show you the picture of the soy sauce I have in our house. Here is a soy sauce I have in my kitchen. I counted, and I have 10 kind of the shoyu in my kitchen. And you can tell that out of 10 bottles, only 2 are my product, and 8 are different company soy sauce. In other words, competitors. So I wish that my wife pick my sauces all the time, but you can tell from the level of the liquid, my wife is using the different bottle from time to time. It's because that well, my wife is not Japanese; she's Chinese, but she knows that. She also knows that best soy sauce, best shoyu is different depending on what she cooks. So that's what I would like to recommend you to do that. Not up to 10, but 2 or 3. But with that many options that there, I think you can tell that my 4-year-old daughter seems to be very happy with that. But with that many kind of the soy sauce, there is one thing in common among those 10 kind of bottles. There is one thing in common among those 10 kind of the shoyu, which is all of them are fermented. It might sound strange to you because you might believe that all the soy sauce must be fermented as well. But actually, it is not. In the market, there are a couple soy sauce which is not fermented. So I like to tell the difference between fermented and non-fermented. Again, there's a lot of the soy sauce in the market, and some of them are fermented, and some of them are not. So it is difficult to tell the difference from the front label. So I like you to look at the back side of the label where you can find the ingredient. So I pour the ingredient from each label. Tamari is made from water, soybean, salt, and koikuchi type like a kikkoman, water, soybean, and wheat and salt. And wheat is being added because that is the source of aroma. So basic structure and the basic ingredient are same between the tamari and koikuchi or sanjay and kikkoman. How about the non-fermented soy sauce? Yes, some of the ingredients are same, like water is the same, salt might be the same. How about the source of umami, soy? We use soybean, kikkoman use soybeans, and they use the hydrolyzed soy protein. We can tell that that is soy related, but it sounds a little different. So I like to explain what is the hydrolyzed soy protein. Let me start with the fermented version. As you know that protein is the chain of an amino acid. And what we had to do during the fermentation process is to cut the chain of the amino acid. And for our side, when the fermentation process, we use koji. In other words, koji is the enzyme to cut the chain of an amino acid. To cut. And the koji is not super strong, not super powerful. So some amino acid is left connected with other amino acid, which is called peptide or tripeptide, right? That is we do in our fermentation process. And how about non-fermentation process? They use the same ingredient, which is the soybeans, which is the chain of amino acid. But how to cut the chain is different between fermentation and non-fermentation. They use HCl, in other words, hydrochloric acid. And the hydrochloric acid is super powerful, so they can cut into pieces completely, right? And this is called hydrolyzed soy protein. And it takes only a couple of days for their side. And the fermentation, it takes at least 6 months up to 12 months. So this is the difference in process. How about the difference in flavor? The key item of the difference in flavor is this peptide. I can show you the some example here. I know you cannot see the each letters on the chart, but I can explain. The horizontal and the vertical axis show the each amino acid. And I think you know that each amino acid has each flavor. Like a glycine has a sweet flavor, or valine has a bitter flavor, like that. But when, for example, amino acid valine is being connected with a, for example, trypsin, it creates strong bitter flavor. Or if that trypsin is left connected with the asparagine, it creates weak sour flavor. Or if that asparagine is being connected with another asparagine, it will create extremely sour flavor. So gradation of color represent gradation of flavor. So if you have more peptide you have, more gradation you will get, which means complex flavor. That is the main difference between the fermented and non-fermented soy sauce. Because fermented soy sauce has a lot of peptide, because the koji is not that powerful compared to the HCl, right? And if I can show you the difference in the flavor between those two, this is the hydrolyzed soy sauce. Peak is higher due to the high, they have a lot of amino acids, so peak is higher. Or fermented soy sauce, peak is not high, but that is thicker and they last longer because of the peptide. So why don't you taste those two soy sauce? You have a couple of cups in front of you. Why don't you start green, which is the fermented soy sauce, and red is a hydrolyzed soy protein, in other words, non-fermented soy sauce. I think both of them are called soy sauce, but I think you can tell that there's a big difference between those two. Yes, the peak is much higher in that soy sauce because they have a lot of amino acid due to the HCl. But the green one, in other words, fermented soy sauce is, how I say, you can tell what complex flavor I'm saying. And the aroma is very unique in that cup. That is the typical aroma of the hydro. When you use the HCl, this is the unique aroma which cannot be removed. So it is a little difficult to get rid of it, but that is one of the unique aroma of the hydrolyzed soy sauce. And back to this ingredient list, yes, they use another ingredient which is not familiar with, which is not familiar. For example, corn syrup. That corn syrup is being added because it is compensate for lack of complexity due to low peptide content, so that they added sweet stuff to compensate the umami stuff. Or caramel color is being added because the couple days is too short to get darker color, which is a result of aging. So that's why caramel is added to make it darker. Yeah. So yes, you can tell a lot of things from the ingredient list. And the last topic is the difference between the soy sauce, difference of the between the Japanese soy sauce and the soy sauce in overseas. In Japan, soy is the must ingredient for shoyu. According to JAS, which is the Japanese agricultural standard set by government, any condiment cannot be called shoyu if it does not contain soybeans. So we have to use soybean for any type of shoyu. And why soy is so important for us? There seems to be a couple reasons behind it. For example, soy have been grown in Japan for a long time because it came from China 2,000 years ago, or we had other fermented food that using the soy already existed. For example, shio, jan, or miso came from China in 7th century. So we have had soy, or we have had soy-related fermented food. Those are one of the reasons. Or this might be interesting for you. Soy gives the more umami from its rich content of protein. That's what I just explained. And in old days in Japan, umami was required to be provided by condiment. We expected condiment to provide umami to your dishes. Why? Because under the influence of Buddhism, meat eating was discouraged. So we could not use meat as a source of umami. So when you wanted to make, for example, soup, you cannot put the beef or pork inside the pot because we are prohibited by the Buddhism. So we could not expect umami source from those meat ingredients. That's why we expect a condiment like shoyu or miso to provide umami to your dishes. That might be kind of unique background for Japan. So that's why we picked some ingredient which is the protein rich, that contains a lot of protein, because that is the only source we can expect umami for your dishes. And some of the reasons are related to each other. For example, we sent many people to China from 600 AD to study Buddhism, and those students stayed in China not for weeks, for years. And for those couple years, they ate Chinese food every day. And some of the students became a big fan of the Chinese food, including the condiment. And they learned how to make miso, for example. And after they came back from China to Japan, they started making miso at temple. That is remember that is the topic I started in this presentation. So some of the reasons are related to each other. But is soy still essential in other countries too, including United States? I know that the soy was essential to our country, but if you want to make shoyu in other country, do you think you have to stick to soy? It might not be the same. So, yeah, originating in China, shoyu has evolved uniquely in Japan for over 1,000 years. In the same way, shoyu from Japan could evolve uniquely in the United States in the coming century. That's what I'm thinking. So, in other words, we might be able to make a new shoyu in the United States. But what would be the good concept for that new shoyu? I'd like to share some of my ideas. One of them might be the local ingredient. That is a big thing when you're in the food industry. And I can show you one example. Noma. Do you know Noma? Yeah. They are a restaurant in Denmark, and ranked number 1 at the World Best 50 for 5 times. I think you already know that. And they introduced their own condiment. I think you know that, which is called Noma Project. And one of the project is piso. It's not miso, but they call it piso. And I can show you the description of this product by normal people. They are saying that normal people saying that rice and soybean are not native to Denmark. We tried making miso out of different local grain regimes. We found success with very Caucasian sweet yellow peas, which came to be known among our team as piso. But this is the same concept I have. Denmark, in the Denmark, soy was not popular, so they picked their local ingredient. And based on the same concept, actually, Sanjay and Noma created a new type of shoyu, like a smoked mushroom gum. That is created between the Sanjay and Noma. And yeah, this is my picture on the picture. And yeah, this is the same concept. Mushroom was their very popular local ingredient in Denmark, so they picked their mushroom as the ingredient of the shoyu, the Denmark type shoyu. Or different another example, 11 Muston Park. Do you know 11 Muston Park? This is a local restaurant here in Manhattan. Yeah, they are ranked number one at the Best 50 in 2017, and they still own their 3 Michelin stars. And I'm not sure they know you know it, but they do this shoyu too. That's November, so 6 months ago. And yeah, corn shoyu and black bean tamari, and this is also collaborated with Sanjay. So if you look at the back of their label, they put our logo in the back side of the label, and they even put my name there. Yeah, and the reason why they pick corn and black bean as the ingredient of their type of shoyu, because it started from the conversation with their team, like, why don't we make for shoyu for Mexican cuisine? Shoyu for Mexican cuisine. And they told me that it would make sense to make it with the ingredient that we use for Mexican dishes. And what is the typical Mexican dishes you like? To me, it's always the tacos. And as you know, that tortilla is made from the corn, and black bean is always a popular ingredient for tacos. So that's why we picked the corn and black bean as the ingredient of the shoyu for Mexican cuisine. That is another version of the local ingredient shoyu, right? Another concept is contributing to food waste. That is another topic for food industry too. Oh, Halloween. Yeah, Halloween, the big ceremony in this country, and my family loves it. And this is my son. He picked the Spider-Man for last 2 years. And during the October, you decorate your house with a lot of pumpkin. That we do in my house too. But after the October 31st, all those their pumpkin must be trashed, all of them, because and the number of their pumpkin that is being trashed is not small. This is a number in UK, but in the number in the United States must be big too. And this pumpkin has to be trashed, because even if you try to keep it until next year, those pumpkins will be spoiled or rotted, because that is the food at the end of the day. So that's why you had to dispose it at the end of the October in order to avoid the spoilage. But you remember that fermentation is a method to control the spoilage. So if you ferment pumpkin in the right direction, we might be able to re-enjoy those pumpkin in a delicious way. That's what we thought. So my colleague Satoru, the fermentation manager, he made a pumpkin shoyu out of the Halloween pumpkin. That is very delicious. So I thought it might be wonderful if many of us might be able to enjoy the pumpkin after the ceremony in their own delicious way. So through my Instagram, I tried to call out. I named it Say Pumpkin Campaign. And I am impressed that there are many people try to make their own pumpkin stuff by themselves by using their own Halloween pumpkin. Yeah, that might be one way to utilize the method of fermentation or experience of fermentation in a good way for the community. So that is the one idea for contributing to food waste. Well, the last topic is last idea is good for environment. Yeah. One of the idea I came up with using the good ingredient which is good for community, good for the environment. One example is kanza. Have you ever had kanza? No, that is still very unique ingredient in the United States. That is a perennial grain. The wheat that is kind of wheat stuff, but they are unlike the wheat. You know, the wheat is the annual and they need to be planted each year. But kanza, it is perennial, so that you don't have to grow it from the beginning every year. So that is why that is good for environment. And there is one food which is using kanza as the ingredient. You might have seen this product, beer. Patagonia introduced the beer using the kanza as the ingredient. And actually, they just introduced the pasta instead of using kanza instead of the wheat. So after I saw the beer introduced by Patagonia, the Satoru used the kanza shoyu as well. And I sent the kanza shoyu to Patagonia, and they liked it, and they decided to introduce the kanza shoyu on the Patagonia brand next year. So that is one of the challenges too. Or another idea is the seaweed. Seaweed is also big stuff. So that I made a seaweed shoyu too. And after I talk about this seaweed shoyu in many places, I was invited to the Stanford University. The topic of the event was from Thai to table. So it's related. So I prepared for the seaweed shoyu in front of you. So why don't you taste the seaweed shoyu we made? It was stick with the blue one. It is totally different from the ordinary shoyu, and we cannot say which is better or bad, but you can tell that we might be able to create different type of shoyu, just like the seaweed one. Oh yeah, tasting good. Yeah, in Japan, we have many soy sauce companies in Japan. They're like up to 1,000. We have 1,000 soy sauce company in Japan, and all of them have a long history, like a couple hundred years history, which is great. But due to that long history, we sometimes become very conservative and hesitate to change. I myself, just like Barry-san, they explained that I'm the 8th generation of the founding family. So I respect what my ancestor created a couple hundred years ago. But shoyu, which was created a couple hundred years ago in Japan, might not be the best option in this country out of the 21st century. So that's why I wanted to look for the new shoyu for new generation. So if you have any idea of the new shoyu, let me know. I have the factory in Virginia, so we can make the new shoyu together, right? And we can name it as a IC shoyu. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the end of presentation. But why don't we make the shiokoji, which I prepared some ingredient in front of you. Have you ever had the shiokoji? Do you know that shiokoji? Yeah. Many people that. I can explain what is shokoji first. Shokoji is very simple condiment made from two ingredients, rice koji and salt. And it is primarily used as a marinade. And because it contains a lot of enzyme, the enzyme derived koji are still active. They can tenderize ingredients such as meat or fish. That's why we usually use it as a marinade. And this is the picture I already showed. And how to make it? Yes, it's very simple. Why don't you open the lid of the jar first? And put the rice koji and salt together. The order doesn't matter. All of them. You might think that you add too much salt for the small jar, but it is required because if you cut some of the salt out of them, it will be just spoiled, not fermented. And after you add two ingredients, and then, oh, I forgot the important part. You have to add water. You have to add water. And yes, the water in front of you, I think you have not drink it up yet, but you had please add water until the soda, of the bottle. Like, may I use your bottle? Yeah. Until the bottom of the soda. Until the bottom of the soda. Yeah. You add it, and the only thing you have to do is just mix once a day. Yeah, thank you for asking that. Leave it at the room temperature for 7 to 10 days. Don't put in the refrigerator. It's gonna take weeks or months. So you have to leave it at room temperature. You don't have to open it. You don't have to open it because it does not create gas. So that's why you do not have to open it. Yeah. If you do not add salt in it, it will be fermented, so it will create gas. So you have to open it. But since you add enough salt, then they will not create gas out of it. Yes. And after 7 or 10 days, it will become a little bit brownier, right? And then that is the end of the process. So you can use it. And I can show you one of the examples how to use it. I recommend you to marinate your favorite ingredient like a meat or fish for overnight. And the quantity of the shokoji is about 10% of the meat or fish or vegetable. And after marinade, it's better to wipe all the shokoji from the surface. Because otherwise, if you grill it or barbecue it, the shokoji will be burned because the main component of the shokoji is sugar. So it will just burn. So that's why you better to wipe it out. Yeah, grill it. And this is a picture we did last time. Yeah, this is a fish, and we marinated it, and yeah, just grill it. So it's easy to use it. Oh, this is the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
it will be just spoiled, and yeah, so yes, the aroma and the taste will be yes totally different from their expected quality. Yes.
How much salt would you recommend?
Well, our target is at least 10%.
Of salt to rice for this?
Oh, the 10% of the total condiment. So that it will vary depending on how much water you're gonna add. So the basic ratio we mainly use is 1 salt, 3 rice koji, and 5 water. 1, 3, 5. That is the ratio we applied on this your DIY shokoji in front of you.
Has anyone used shiokoji before? No? Yes, back then. It's a magical thing, breaking down the enzymes, great for things like beef cheek or pork belly, whatever, to really break down and tenderize. It's really fantastic. I recommend it. Any other questions? Yeah.
Does it add any flavor to it?
Does that
Does it add any flavor, like once it's tenderizing?
The question is that
Does shiokoji add flavor?
oh yeah, yes, not only the texture like the tenderizer, but it will add flavor, mainly sweetness. So if you marinate too much, you might not like the sweetness of the flavor. So that's why the overnight will be the maximum. Yes.
So we actually, I don't know if you know this, but in the chocolate lab, does everyone know where that is? In the chocolate lab, you'll see a little fermentation area with some jars of things that ferment against lactose ferments, against alcoholic ferments, and you also have some miso, some things that we've been making with Chef Olivia, and you'll see a whisk box about this big, which is made from cedar, and that's where we grow our own koji. So we take rice, we inoculate it with Aspergillus oryzae spores, and then we make our own koji, which takes about 2 days, and then we harvest that koji, and then take a bean or a grain and make a shoyu or a miso from that. So if you want to get hands-on with that, we do that on Mondays, every Monday afternoon with Chef Olivia.
3 p.m.
And it's really interesting.
At 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. 3 p.m. So you can speak to Chef Olivia, and if you want to get hands-on and do some fermentation, she'll be able to help you out. Any other questions?
How do you make the koji?
Well, that koji you have in front of you, that is the one we bought from Amazon. Because all the koji we make is soy-based koji. The one you have in front of you is rice koji. So that's why we do not make it in a factory. So that's why we bought it from Amazon. But actually it is easy to make it by yourself. Like Barry-san, he has the chamber. You have chamber here. Yeah. So that Murok. Yes. So yes, the first thing is you have to do is steam the rice because the koji requires enough the moisture, and then put the koji mold on the surface of the rice, and leave it in the chamber for I don't know the 2 or 3 days depending on the condition, and then the mold will be grown on the surface of the rice, and then it will become just like that. So.
Yeah. We just soak rice, drain it, then we cook the rice, and then we inoculate it with the spores, and then we mix it through with our hands, place it in the mura, like around 75% humidity, 86 Fahrenheit,
Yep.
something around there. And then over the process of a couple of days, you see the white hyphae starts to grow and starts to connect those grains of rice. And when you taste the koji when it comes out from the mura, it's got this deep mushroom, umami type flavor. And then we take it and we mix that with some cooked beans, pack it down with some salt, and then we steam it for 6 months, 8 months. And then you'll see the tamari start to cool on the top, which you can extract, and then you have your miso. So it's a very simple process, but really fun to look at. You get some amazing flavors. You get salty, you get sweet, you get umami, you get some bright, acidic, fruity flavors as well. So you can really experiment to make different flavors to go in your dishes. And top restaurants in the world right now are all experimenting with fermentation to be able to provide these types of flavors in their food. Like you said, Leather Max and Noma is a big one. They have a huge fermentation process and a lab where they make these products. Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I have one. How much shoyu do you make in a year from your factory?
Well, in a day,
In a day?
we borrow the bottle in front of you, 50,000,
15,000?
50,000,
50,000.
but a day. So it's a lot.
It's a
Yes.
big operation. Much bigger than the one we have in the chocolate lab. A little bit.
Yeah.
But these are all things you can make at home. It's really interesting. I recommend you try it. Like I said, you can buy koji from Amazon. It comes in a little white package with blue thread on it. That's the dried koji that you have in front of you. Maybe it's another thing.